Let's get straight to it. There's a storm of headlines swirling around and it's easy to get swept up in the drama. But if you're here for the real story, you're in the right place. You've probably seen headlines claiming Trump's new tariffs are forcing McDonald's to shut down restaurants and fire staff across America. Social media is ablaze with rumors, and some news outlets are fanning the flames with sensational stories and alarming images. The internet loves a good disaster story, especially when it involves something as iconic as McDonald's. But the truth, as usual, is far less dramatic and a lot more complicated than a viral tweet or a clickbait headline. Despite all the viral claims, there are no mass closures or layoffs at McDonald's due to these tariffs. The golden arches are still shining, fries are still frying, and employees are still clocking in for their shifts. The real story? The 2025 tariffs are wild, but not for the reasons you think. They're not targeting your favorite burger joint, but they are raising eyebrows for some truly unexpected reasons. We're talking about tariffs on uninhabited islands, confused penguins, and trade rules that sound like they were written during a fever dream. Seriously, some of these new tariffs are so oddly specific, you'd think they were designed as a prank. And then there's the trade data, numbers that don't add up, charts that contradict themselves, and analysts left scratching their heads. It's a mess, and it's no wonder people are confused. But here's the bottom line. The actual impact on McDonald's operations is frankly non-existent. The company isn't shuttering stores or slashing jobs because of these tariffs. For most people, it's business as usual. So why did this story explode online? Because it taps into real anxieties about the economy and global politics. People are worried about their jobs, their savings, and the future, and stories like this play right into those fears. Tonight, we'll cut through the noise and look at what these tariffs really are, why they're so bizarre, and what Wall Street is actually worried about. We'll break down the facts, separate the fiction, and help you understand what's really at stake. Forget the clickbait. Let's get to the facts. We're here to give you the real story, not just the one that gets the most clicks. And yes, there will be penguin jokes because even they got dragged into this mess. So grab your curiosity, and maybe a snack, because we're about to dive deep into the wild world of tariffs, truth, and a little bit of penguin chaos. So, what are these tariffs? In April 2025, the Trump administration slapped a 10% tariff on all imports, no exceptions. Then came the reciprocal tariffs, 34% on Chinese goods, 49% on Cambodia, 20% on the EU, and more. The goal? Protect American jobs by making foreign goods pricier. Supporters say it shields U.S. industries. Critics warn it means higher prices, global retaliation, and chaos for supply chains. Imagine running a U.S. company overnight, your imported parts cost up to 49% more, absorb the cost and lose profit, or pass it to customers and risk losing sales. The sudden sweeping tariffs sent shockwaves through global business. Companies scrambled to adapt, facing tough choices and uncertainty. This is the real disruption behind the headlines. Here's where things get surreal. Imagine opening a government report and finding a list of places you've barely heard of. Places so remote, so untouched, that even Google Maps has trouble finding them. Yet somehow, they're at the center of a global trade dispute. The tariffs didn't just hit major economies. They targeted places with no people at all. We're talking about islands where the only residents are wildlife, and the nearest human is hundreds, sometimes thousands of miles away. Heard Island and McDonald Islands, uninhabited, icy, and home only to penguins and seals. These islands are so isolated that even scientists rarely visit, and yet, they found themselves on the U.S. tariff list. Yet, they're on the tariff list. Their names, highlighted in official documents, stand out like a penguin at a flamingo party. Svalbard, Jan Mayen, and the British Indian Ocean Territory, remote, barely inhabited, or just military bases also made the cut. These are places where the population is often just a handful of researchers or military personnel, if anyone at all. How do you tax a penguin? No one knows. The idea of customs officers showing up to collect tariffs from a colony of penguins is as absurd as it sounds. But the US government tried. Bureaucracy, after all, has a way of marching on, even when logic takes a back seat. The justification? Bizarre trade data, like $1.4 million in machinery supposedly imported from the Penguin Islands, likely a clerical error or data glitch. It's the kind of mistake that slips through the cracks when no one's really watching. Norfolk Island was shocked to learn it was being tariffed for exporting $655,000 in shoes to the US, a transaction they've never heard of. Local officials were left scratching their heads, wondering if someone had confused them with a major footwear exporter. These oddities turned a serious policy into a punchline. Late-night hosts and cartoonists had a field day, poking fun at the idea of penguin tariffs and shoe exports from tiny islands. The inclusion of these places left analysts baffled and the public amused. It became a symbol of how disconnected policy can become from reality. It's a case study in how policy can go off the rails when details are ignored. When data is taken at face value, without a second glance, the results can be both hilarious and embarrassing. The result: confusion, laughter, and a lot of questions about who's really paying attention. It's a reminder that even the most powerful governments can make mistakes that leave everyone scratching their heads. Even the penguins are confused. And that's saying something. In the end, the penguin tariffs became a quirky footnote in trade history, a lesson in the importance of double-checking the details no matter how small or cold the place may be. The internet had a field day. Memes of protesting penguins and worried polar bears went viral. Even world leaders joined in. Australia's Prime Minister joked, "Nowhere on Earth is safe." Instead of sparking debate about trade, the tariffs became a global punchline. The message of American strength was drowned out by laughter and mockery. When your policy is best known for taxing penguins, you've lost control of the narrative. The world saw chaos, not strategy, and that perception can be more damaging than any tariff. Let's return to McDonald's, the world's most iconic fast food chain and a frequent target of rumors and speculation. Despite the persistent online chatter, there's absolutely no credible evidence that McDonald's is on the verge of collapse or that it's laying off workers due to tariffs or any recent government policy. Major news outlets, including NPR and The Guardian, have investigated these claims and found no signs of mass closures or widespread layoffs at McDonald's locations. In fact, the company's global sales actually grew slightly in the first quarter of 2025, showing resilience even in a challenging economic climate. While it's true that U.S. sales dipped by 1.4%, this drop was linked to an E. coli outbreak that temporarily shook customer confidence, not to tariffs or international trade disputes. Meanwhile, McDonald's is actually expanding at a rapid pace, with ambitious plans to reach 50,000 restaurants worldwide by 2027, an unprecedented goal in the fast food industry. The company is also doubling down on international markets, especially in China, where it's betting big on future growth and investing heavily in new locations. So, why did the rumor about McDonald's downfall spread so quickly and widely online? The answer is simple. It fits a dramatic, easy-to-understand narrative that grabs attention and spreads fast on social media. For critics of current policies, it's seen as proof of economic mismanagement. For supporters, it's dismissed as just another example of fake news. But the reality is far more nuanced. McDonald's, like any global business, faces real challenges, ranging from food safety scares to changing consumer tastes, but tariffs alone aren't shutting them down. Reducing the company's fate to a single policy or event oversimplifies a much more complicated story and can mislead people about what's really happening. For now, your McNuggets are safe, and no one at McDonald's has lost their job because of a so-called penguin tariff. The fries are still hot and the doors are still open. The real story is more complex, less sensational, and worth a closer look. So next time you see a viral headline, remember, don't believe the hype. The real risk isn't immediate layoffs, it's global backlash. Wall Street fears that aggressive tariffs could spark anti-American sentiment abroad. Imagine you're in China or Germany. The US taxes your goods and suddenly American brands look less appealing. This could lead to boycotts of icons like McDonald's and Starbucks. Analysts warn this could cost the US economy tens of billions. For McDonald's, international growth is crucial, especially in China. A boycott could derail years of investment and expansion. Buying a burger becomes a political act. The danger isn't just economic, it's reputational. That's the real threat lurking behind the tariffs. McDonald's isn't alone. Starbucks saw a 4% global sales drop with a 6% slide in China. Local competitors are gaining ground and a hostile trade climate doesn't help. Yum China, operator of KFC and Pizza Hut, also reported sales dips. Economic pressures and rising nationalism make it easy for consumers to choose local brands. These companies already face tough markets. Tariffs just add fuel to the fire. The risk? Decades of goodwill and cultural integration could be undone by a single policy. No company is immune, not even giants like Starbucks or KFC. The performance of these brands is a warning sign. The threat of a boycott is real, even if it hasn't fully materialized yet. Tariffs have made global brands easy targets for consumer anger. So what's the lesson? Always check your sources. Sensational stories rarely hold up. The McDonald's collapse rumor was fiction, but it spread because it felt plausible. Tariffs have real, often unintended consequences, sometimes absurd, like taxing penguins. The biggest risk isn't direct costs, but losing global goodwill. Brands can become symbols of unpopular policies, turning everyday purchases into political statements. This saga is a snapshot of our world. Complex economics, viral misinformation, and the power of perception. The immediate impact may be small, but the long-term effects on American brands and global trade are just beginning. The race has started, and even the penguins are watching.